To get started with the process of building this form, I'm going to open a file called Shipping Memo. It's a file that I've provided for you, and it's in the Lesson 1 folder of the Part 2 folder that you installed onto your hard drive from the project files. I'll open it, and when it opens in Acrobat, it looks like a form. What we're going to do in this lesson is add the elements to this document so that it will act like a form as well as look like one. So that I can see the entire document, I'll go ahead and zoom out on the document. And if I roll over some of the elements on this document, you can see that there are already some form fields here. I can do that as a way to see if there are elements or form fields here. Or I can also select Forms, Highlight Fields. And this is just a good way to determine if there are already fields in a document that you're working with. Now, as the author of the document, of course, I'm going to know that. But this is just a good way to highlight the fields in the document so that if I'm going to fill it out, I can know where they are. Now, I added these fields to the document as a good starting point that I'll make use of later in the lesson. But for now, I'm going to start by adding a text field, and I want to add it to this Ship To area right here. So I'm going to zoom back in so that we can see that area. And I'll choose Tools, Forms, Show Forms Toolbar. This is my set of form elements that I can use to add to the document, and there are a variety of them. We're going to focus first on the text field tool. Before we start using it though, because I'm going to be using these tools frequently throughout this lesson, I'm going to dock the Forms toolbar, and instead of docking it at the top, I'm actually going to dock it over here to the side. It's a preference thing. It's where I tend to dock the form elements when I'm using them. Of course, I could dock it to the top if I wanted to, but again, this is just convenient for me. Now, I'll scroll up a little bit by clicking and dragging with the hand tool. And to get started, I'm going to select the text field tool, click, and drag. Once I've done that, Acrobat will add a text field to the document, and I can begin working with the text field. I'm going to go ahead and close this because right now the text field looks blue, and that can be distracting. The reason that it looks blue is because I have the Highlight Form Fields function turned on. So I'll close this. I'll return to Forms and deselect Highlight Fields, and then the fields return to whatever color they're set to be through creating them. Once I've placed a form element, as long as I have that element's tool selected, as I do here, I have the text field tool selected, and I roll over it, it will show me its handles. And its handles are designed to allow me to resize the field, or even reposition it by simply moving it around. And in this case, I want to reposition it specifically so that it fits within this Ship To window. And so I'll go ahead and nestle it into place, and then just resize the bottom so that it fits. When you're building text fields, or frankly any form element, your best bet is to add the form element to the page, make any adjustments to it using the Properties dialog box, and then reposition it so that it fits into the area that you need it to fit into. You're also going to be making some property adjustments to it that determine how it looks, and so you might need to go back and forth a couple of times, but the point is that you can do so. Leave the tool selected, and then go ahead and reposition your form field. If you want to see how the field is going to look once the form is complete, you can return to the hand tool, or another convenient method is to use the preview button that's right on the Forms toolbar. And so I'll click the preview button, and it looks like the field disappeared, and that's actually on purpose. I want this field not to really show up until you start to enter some information into it. So I'll turn that off so that I can see my field, and I'm ready to begin adding the properties to this field element. Now, before I take that step, I want to zoom out because the placement of the field elements is in large part determined by the look of this document, and I want you to understand where this file came from in the first place. This was not something that I built in Acrobat. It was something that started its life actually in Adobe's PageMaker. It was a form that I built a long time ago, and I intended it for the purpose of printing. I created a PDF file from it. I distributed the PDF file electronically and allowed people to print it out. But this is one of the advantages that PDF and Acrobat give me when working with forms. I can take a form that was developed for a legacy purpose, developed in just about any application, whether it's PageMaker or Word, Excel, Adobe's InDesign, whatever application that you might use to create a form, move it into Acrobat as a PDF file, and then, in this case, many years later, open it up and begin to add elements to it to allow you to take that next step, which is what we're taking in this lesson.